What's up, everybody? This is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio One Tutorials.com, and today we have another installment of the Secrets of Beatmaking. What's up, everybody? This is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio One Tutorials.com. Today I have another installment of Secrets of Beatmaking, and this one, it's going to be similar to the last one, where it's just pretty much I'm going to tell you that you have to work harder, but I'm going to show you how to do it. This one we're going to focus on arrangements, and I noticed that people not just on YouTube, but producers that I meet at Guitar Center or in different studios, they always seem to struggle with this part of production. And I feel like it's because a lot of people really put a lot of emphasis on, learning how to create drums or where to find samples, or it's always they're putting a lot of emphasis into the creation process. And that's fine. You have to master all your different tasks, and nobody really even knows thinks how to get good at arrangements. So what I do personally is I study arrangements. The way that I learned how to do this is, way back when I used to be a rapper, was I had a group, and we had depending on the time period, anywhere between 4 to 6 guys in the group, and we had a singer at one point too. And it was we had to create ways, because we were using industry instrumentals to make our songs back then, and we had to find out ways to take a beat and chop it up and have everybody have an equal amount of mic time, because then egos get involved, and why does this guy get this first or whatever. So what I got good at doing was counting up bars. And then I started to realize, okay, hooks are 8, verses are 16. I could, we could go back and forth 4 bars. So that type of thinking was already built into me. So when I got into production, I'm trying to tailor that into my tracks and made it a little bit easier. I had that head start. As I got further into production, what I realized was that arrangements were changing, and I wanted to, especially with trap, with the slower tempos, and what I had to do was I studied arrangements. I mean, like, I'll take a full song, put it up in the DAW, match up the BPM, and then be like, okay, it's got an 8-bar intro, then it's got an 8-bar hook, and then it's got something else coming in the second part of the hook, and then this verse is 8 bars. And what I do is I break it down as far as like the sounds and where there's drops and things like that. So let me give you guys an actual visual example of something that I keep on my desktop while I'm working. And I have this Word document that I use, and it's right here. For example, this arrangement, this is called the Hollywood arrangement. I actually got this arrangement from a book that I was reading. It's called the Addiction Formula. It's how to make addictive records. And this right here, you'll see that I show, boom, I have the Hollywood arrangement. I let myself know that these are 8 bars a piece. Then I see that I need an intro, a beginning verse, the verse continued, beginning pre-chorus, so on and so forth. And I know that all of these patterns have to be different in some way. So that's how, once I make my 8-bar loop, I know, okay, I need something that sounds like a beginning verse, something that builds up on that, then a pre-chorus. And once I know that these parts have to be created, you don't get stuck in the repetitive function of where do I go, because that's the problem when people make arrangements. It's not that they don't know how to make the arrangement, it's that they don't know how to create the pieces and what pieces are involved in the puzzle. Then what I like to do is, every 2 or 3 months, I'll take really successful songs, analyze their arrangements, put them into this Word doc, and then if I get stuck on different arrangements or anything, I could just go to this. So for example, the Lil Uzi Vert Money Longer song, I thought that song had just a really great energy, the way that it went back and forth between a lot of percussion and just the 808. And what I did is I analyzed it. I laid down the BPM, so I know if I want to make a song with this type of energy, because that's what I'm looking at arrangements from. Arrangements are an energy thing, right? So I'm thinking like, all right, I want the energy to feel like this. So I'm like, boom, okay, so I know that this type of track has 1 melodies and it's all about drum changes and filters. I make myself a note right there. I make this note that this is 8 bars a piece, and then I let myself know, okay, the intro has the melody, full drums, and the Drake filter. Then I know that the hook 1 is the melody and only the clap. Then I know that hook 2 is melody and just the full drum. Verse 1 is melody, the drums, and a dodgy snare. That's like the snares that's happening on the in between the back beats and things like that. And then verse 2 is the melody and the clap. And these parts right here are pretty much the DNA of the song. So I just copy and paste it, following along with the song. To capture the arrangement. And then I noticed that verse 3 has what I labeled verse 3 has a little change up there. And anytime I want to make this arrangement, it's real easy, whether I'm in Studio One or Machine, to make these pieces. And then I pull this this Word file up, and then I just arrange my song accordingly. And it could be for a trap song, it could be for any type of an R&B song, any genre. This arrangement will provide that given energy, and you don't think about it. Arrangements aren't something where you have to be, just this crazy original creative thing. There's, the 16/8 ruled rap music for 20 years, and it was the arrangement that everybody used. So, you don't have to, unnecessarily challenge yourself with the arrangement section of your production process. What you need to do is you need to simplify it. And that's the thing that I don't think a lot of you guys do enough, that struggle with certain aspects of production, is you're not simplifying the process. You need to look at your beat production process, and you need to just be just relentless with simplifying it, and that's how you're gonna boost up in skill. For example, this is a completely different vibe. This is the Black Problems arrangement, and it's an R&B song that is a lot slower. So you see, I have this contrast. So if I want to make an aggressive trap type of vibe, I can go for that Uzi song. If I want to make like more of a trap soul, I can go ahead and move on to this arrangement. As you can see, this is just how I personally do it. I let myself know, okay, it's got the bass, the kick, the snare, the straight hat, and then I'm also indicating where the drops are, because the drops were a critical portion of this arrangement, because that's what added the variation, because there was just this one melody and chord progression that was just going through the whole song. So I noticed that the way that they created the interest was with the drum changes and the drops. Sometimes you'll find certain beats, they change the energy, especially like in pop songs and things like that. They'll change the energy with chords and key changes and things like that. But with more urban music, more grimy music, you're going to find that a lot of that is done with drum breakdowns, drops, and snare rolls, hi-hat changes, things like that. And the last one I have here is the Young M.A. Ooh arrangement. That song seems like a really simple song, and it seems like there's not a lot going on, but when you really get into the overall arrangement of that track and the way that she's able to rap for as long as she is without really a discernible chorus, more just a break in the middle, you find out that is facilitated by these switches in the beat. And as you can tell, it's a really meticulous arrangement. There's a lot more going on than when when you listen. And that's why it's important to study songs, and don't just study you know what I mean, any song that you know, you can do it to your taste. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but my advice to you is that you do this with really successful songs. Do it with the songs that have a bajillion views, okay, that is in the genre that you like to produce in. And there's a reason why those arrangement works, because and there's a reason why so many people watch those videos and listen to those songs on SoundCloud, and it's because they have an energy to them that is just addictive. So if you want to get that type of feeling in your songs, dude, study the arrangements, write them down. Another thing is that I do is I'll study the overall sounds in certain genres and certain types of beats, and that's why I'm able to produce in any genre that somebody requests. And that's what you need to be able to do as a producer. You can't just pigeonhole yourself into sampled boom bap, because you might miss an opportunity with somebody in your neighborhood who's looking for trap, and then you're all like, oh well, I don't produce trap because I'm real hip hop. And it's like, you know what else you don't do? You don't get money. Yeah, you don't do that. So the way that I kind of attack it is I'll listen to a bunch of different songs. Like I have this concerted effort that I'm working on in my production is just to make like grimy sampled trap. Like that's what I want to do. That's what entertains me. It's kind of a mix of like my two favorite cultures, with the trap drums and the grimy East Coast samples. So, you know, I studied some songs that had that DNA, and I made a note of it in Notepad of what was in that, and I found that, you know, there was like typically 4 drum patterns. They had snare changes and bass changes. They filtered the drums, and they didn't always filter the patterns. So it wasn't a thing where they were putting the Drake filter on the whole song. They were just filtering the drums. I also noticed that a lot of those type of beats didn't have a lot of counter melodies, and they didn't have a lot of lead lines, which is what, when I was making the beats, I was getting stuck, because I was like, okay, I got to put my counter melody in, and then I got to put my lead line. And what I found out was the records that I liked that were on that vibe didn't have any of that. So I had to make myself a note, you know, because you can't remember everything. I had to make myself a note that says, use the drums to switch up the record. Don't switch up the music. Use filters, use textures, and use vox samples or vocal samples. And that is kind of how I keep my mind organized, because a disorganized mind, when you're trying to produce, is the worst thing for you. You always want to have a goal going in, and you always want to get to the end of that goal. That's why people don't finish beats, because they just sit down and they're waiting for fucking hip hop Jesus to whisper inspiration in their ear, and the hip hop Jesus ain't real. You know what I'm saying? We're the gods. So in order to create and produce this magic and give it to the world, you need to have a workflow and a plan. So just to sum it up, stay organized. Don't be afraid to write things down. Don't be afraid to use these cheat sheets, because it's what keeps me productive. It's definitely what keeps a lot of your favorite producers productive. This is not something that I made up on my own. I've seen people do this, and you know, take popular songs, even if you don't like the rapper that's on it a lot, and you're like, oh, this song is so stupid, it's only the beat. Find out what it is about the beat that provided the energy for the rapper to snap on that. So this is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions, Studio1Tutorials.com. This has been Secrets of Beat Making. Keep it simple, don't be basic, and we'll see you on the next one.